Richard agreed to this at once. Both sides agreed to a schedule of payments in which Saladin would deliver the ransom gradually, while both sides would exchange their prisoners. However, as each deadline came and went, a pattern began to emerge. Saladin refused to keep his end of the bargain. At each assigned date, Saladin offered excuses as to why he could not deliver a payment or release prisoners. Richard agreed to extend the deadlines, but it became clear that the Sultan was toying with the Crusader king and trying to undermine his authority. Above all, Saladin wanted to keep Richard bogged down in Acre, endlessly negotiating over these prisoners, while the Christian army disintegrated. Even Saladin's own chroniclers admit this. Whereas Richard, famously, was obsessed with the well-being of his own men, on this occasion, Saladin was perfectly content to gamble with the lives of his most valiant soldiers, the men who had defended Acre. These men provided the Sultan with a means of stalling his enemy, and that mattered more to Saladin than obtaining their freedom. Richard quickly recognized Saladin's game. He knew that the Sultan was toying with him and trying to both break the momentum of the crusade as well as make Richard appear ineffective. After one more broken deadline and litany of excuses from the Sultan's envoys, Richard marched his prisoners out before Saladin's encampment and executed them in full view of the Muslim army. In effect, Richard had called Saladin's bluff, and the results would prove disastrous for the Sultan. Many emirs and leading men in the Muslim forces were enraged that Saladin had failed to ransom the brave defenders of Acre, and this would create loyalty problems for the Sultan that would persist throughout the crusade. In addition, Saladin would from then on find it very difficult to convince his men to garrison castles and cities, since they now feared the fate of Acre's garrison. Ultimately, Richard had given Saladin ample opportunity to secure the lives of his men. This was more than could be said for Saladin, who had ruthlessly executed Templars and Hospitallers taken prisoner after the Battle of Hattin, giving them no opportunity to be ransomed. By repeatedly reneging on the terms of the agreement, Saladin intentionally placed Richard in a very difficult situation. Richard had no ability to permanently house these prisoners, nor could he allow the Sultan's flagrant violations of the terms go unanswered. It was a hard and bloody decision made in the midst of a hard and bloody war, and ultimately, Saladin himself should be criticized for abandoning the courageous Acre garrison to such a cruel fate. Compared to Richard, who often risked his own life leading rescue missions when his own men were captured, we can only wonder at Saladin's calloused and ungrateful attitude toward his bravest soldiers.